If there's one thing I really enjoyed from this episode of Monday Night Raw is that they're focusing on the Daniel Bryan and Triple H match as well as the WWE Championship, and they're pretty much meshing it to make it look like one. And there's one thing that we do know is that there will be a triple threat match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship no matter what the outcome is with the Daniel Bryan and Triple H match, and I'll explain that later on this review. And like I said, this is the one good thing that this episode of Raw really emphasized on, is that they focused on tying in both matches going into WrestleMania. And it started the show with Triple H talking about how he's going to crush everyone's hopes and dreams in the Yes Movement and Daniel Bryan by defeating him at WrestleMania. Out comes Batista and asks Triple H, why is Daniel Bryan being in my match? And Triple H reminding him that I have to beat him for him to not be in the match. So there's a little bit of underestimating throughout this entire segment. And then you have Randy Orton come out and basically agreeing with Batista, and both of them are ganging up on Triple H as to why Daniel Bryan will be in the match. And even though it looks like it's going to happen, it's not really written in stone. And Triple H is making everyone seem like that Daniel Bryan is going to steamroll right through Triple H and be inserted into the triple threat match. So like I said, there's a lot of estimating going on. I think that Triple H is really telling Randy Orton and Batista that Daniel Bryan won't be in the match because I will be in the match. And basically what happened was that Triple H made it seem like it was all about him not going to be able to beat Daniel Bryan, and then he basically turned it on Randy Orton and Batista by saying that the Batista has no idea how to run the business. He's a Hollywood movie star, and then he goes to Randy Orton and says, "You can't win or any matches without me feeding you or giving you a hand," and stuff like that. Triple H coming back with a lot of truth, and like I said, Triple H cut a really good promo here. This was a good way to open up this episode of Raw and focus on the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. And throughout that entire thing, Randy Orton wanted Daniel Bryan later on in a no disqualification match, and Triple H didn't really hesitate at all into giving him this match because he wants Randy Orton to basically soften him up. So it made perfect sense for Triple H to not hesitate at all to give Randy Orton that match as well. So I like how throughout this entire thing that they use a lot of WWE logic and common sense to gain a lot of heel heat. And I love how Triple H really put himself over in this opening segment. I think he'll have to have more than one shovel by the end of WrestleMania. One for Batista, one for Randy Orton, and another one for Daniel Bryan. Here it comes. It's Shovelmania 30. Moving on, we get to see the Usos in a tag team match versus the Real Americans in a non-title match. And what I do like about this match is that it's refreshing to not have Big E Langston in the middle of Cesaro and Jack Swagger, even though I still think Big E should defend the title, which I will get to later on. And to me, like I said, this is refreshing to see. And you have the Real Americans go over the Usos. This is also interesting as well. I thought this was a great match to begin with. And having the Real Americans go over the Usos in this match was, to me, the right way to go, because you want to have challengers to face the Usos for the championships at WrestleMania, and I really couldn't think of a better team than the Real Americans. Even though there has been some tension between them, I think in the long run that was the good way to go, and have them not have tension was another good way to go, because you can have that moment at WrestleMania where the Usos go over the Real Americans, and after the match you have Antonio Cesaro turn on Jack Swagger, telling him, what happened, you lost, you got pinned. Say Swagger got pinned in that match, and then he turns on him and he goes full babyface turn. That would be a great scenario, I think, that would happen towards WrestleMania when it comes to the tag team division. Also, we got to see Sheamus go one-on-one with Titus O'Neil in a St. Pat's showdown, and that was brutal. I will say that. This was really hardly a wrestling match. It was just, a lot of hits, and you had Hornswoggle, and I'm surprised that the ref never even rang the bell for disqualification. Okay. But I thought that was kind of weird and awkward. It wasn't really much of a match, like I said. We have Sheamus go over, and I'm surprised that, not really surprised, because here's an example. Brodus Clay, The Miz, and they're not really booking Titus O'Neil well enough as a heel, and I think it has got lost in the shuffle with WrestleMania approaching, and the whole idea of Titus O'Neil turning heel was, to me, not the greatest of timing. I think they could have waited after WrestleMania for Titus to turn heel. So I question the booking of that match where you had Sheamus go over Titus O'Neil, and after that Sheamus cuts a promo and he talks about entering himself into the Battle Royal. I like it because Christian is also in there as well, so you could see that story in one match where you have a lot of other superstars as well. There's a lot of guys in this Battle Royal. And later on we saw Big Show, Mark Henry, Big E, and Ziggler versus Damien Sandow, Alberto Del Rio, and Ryback. And to me, this was an interesting way to establish the 30-man Battle Royal. I would have rather seen an 8-man or 10-man mini Battle Royal to get you more excited, and you could still have the same outcome where Big Show eliminates all the guys, and he's the favorite going into the Battle Royal. And the same thing really applied with this match when he chokeslammed Damien Sandow to win. So I thought, even though they could have had the mini Battle Royal to get you excited for the 30-man Battle Royal, it's still a win-win situation, and I love how they booked that match as well. We also saw John Cena addressing the Wyatts and Bray Wyatt as well. And this was your typical John Cena promo where he comes out. He says he's afraid of Bray Wyatt. And he's questioning the audience about them listening to Bray Wyatt and his cryptic messages on how John Cena is a liar and he's not your hero that he has claimed to be. And but then John Cena comes back and says he will overcome Bray Wyatt, he will beat Bray Wyatt, etc., etc. This was, like I said, your typical John Cena selling promo, and Bray Wyatt interrupts, and I loved the little things, him wearing the John Cena shirt and the green wristbands as well. The little things, to me, stand out. That was a nice touch on Bray Wyatt. He cut a really good promo. He never fails to deliver a great, outstanding promo. He was talking about superheroes in general, how they wear masks and how the kids look up to them, and that John Cena and that Bray Wyatt is a guy that John Cena has never faced. He never quite faced someone different like Bray Wyatt. I loved how he got that point across as well. And I thought that segment was okay. It was a John Cena watered down average promo, and then Bray Wyatt comes in with his great mic skills as well. And it was a win-win situation. It was a good way to establish the match between John Cena and Bray Wyatt. I still think going into WrestleMania that Bray Wyatt needs to win this because John Cena really has nothing to prove. And then we got to the match between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. No disqualification. It was a good quality match. And overall, I thought the placement of it was very strange. To me, it felt like it was not in the right spot. It could have went before the John Cena and Bray Wyatt promo. So I was concerned of this being buried right in the middle of this episode of Raw. But what I did enjoy was that this match was a no disqualification match. They used steel chairs, they used kendo sticks. I love that moment where Daniel Bryan went kicks and kendo sticks back and forth on Randy Orton. And like I said, overall, this match was a really good match to have on this show. But the question still struggles to me is that why this match was booked in the middle. We also got to see Paul Heyman. He came out and he talked about how everyone else has fallen to Brock Lesnar. The people that have faced Undertaker over the years, guys like Mark Henry, The Big Show, and other people in the like, etc., etc. John Cena, The Rock, and all them guys. And he basically said that Brock Lesnar will beat the Streak at WrestleMania, and he also showed a video proving that Brock Lesnar will beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And I like it. It kept it really short and simple, much like the segment last week with Undertaker and Paul Heyman. It was very short, very sweet. It was made for great TV. And I'm looking forward to this match. You can make the argument to say that that was all Paul Heyman said, but you have to understand that Paul Heyman is really good on the microphone and how he got his point across and how he can make you believe that Brock Lesnar will defeat The Undertaker, even though it's not going to happen. Under no circumstance will The Undertaker lose to anyone at any WrestleMania. It's just not going to happen. But the guy that faces The Undertaker or the guy that speaks for him needs to find a way to make the audience glued in, to make you believe that he will beat The Undertaker. And I think Paul Heyman is actually doing a pretty good job at doing just that. Also, we saw Fandango versus Goldust, and this was an okay match. I like the shenanigans that were happening. I love the Goldust dancing. He was on all fours, kissing to Summer Rae. The things Goldust was doing was very great. It was entertaining. It was creepy as well. And the match was actually going not half bad until the big suplex botch that really stuck out like a sore thumb. And after Goldust won the match, you could tell he was kind of ticked off on that botch, and I think he wanted to beat up Fandango for it. So I'm just going to leave it at that. He also had Kane. Now, this was a really good, well segment as well. What happened was that Kane came out. He cut a really good promo. He talked about how Occupy Raw was the worst thing to happen on the show, and he basically wanted someone to fall under what happened last week. He wanted to blame someone. He wanted to investigate who was behind the Occupy Raw, and of all people, he blamed Jerry the King Lawler. All right, but anyway, you had Jerry Lawler come in the ring, and you also had the Shield come out as well, and in the ring, you had Kane talking to Jerry that you were the one behind it, and you had Seth Rollins as well on the microphone, and I like how he's been improving little by little. He said, "We will always do what's best for business," and they were facing Jerry the King Lawler when Kane was over here, and then slowly all three of them turned onto Kane, and then they start attacking Kane, 3-on-1 assault, and it ended with the spear and then the powerbomb at the end. And I'm curious to see where this is going to go for WrestleMania. If they could go a route of Kane coming out on SmackDown or on Raw next week and punishing the Shield by putting them into a triple threat match against each other for the United States Championship. That would make logical sense. Or there is also a rumor that has been going around where there's going to be a 6-man tag team match. The Shield, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Ambrose, they could take on Kane and two partners of his choosing. And there's a team on NXT that has been roughshod on the NXT tag team division, and what a great way for them to make their debut on any show like WrestleMania, The Ascension, and have them team with Kane and face the Shield. If they're going to go the route of the Shield being the baby faces going into that match, that would be really interesting to see, because last year at WrestleMania you saw Randy Orton, Sheamus, and then the Big Show facing the Shield, and the Shield were playing the heels. That would be really interesting in a full circle kind of moment for the Shield. They come in as that big heel dominant force, and now they're the babyface dominant force. That would be interesting to see. So there's not anything written in stone just yet. We'll see what happens within the next 2 Raws and the 3 SmackDowns leading up to WrestleMania. Also, we saw a tag team match, a Divas tag team match, the Funkadactyls versus AJ Lee and Tamina. First, I will say, glad to see that Naomi is back. I know she was wearing something on her eye. That's alright, but I think it's great that she is back, and she got the win over AJ Lee, and with the split leg moonsault with all moves. And I thought that was really nice. And even though this was a okay match, it really never done anything for me, but the way they're booking the match, the outcome of it was actually pretty good. There's hope. There's hope yet for the Divas division. And what I liked is that they had Naomi go over AJ. And I think that Naomi should be in contention for the Divas Championship leading up to WrestleMania. And how it ended with AJ and Tamina teasing dissension and a good possible split up leading up to WrestleMania. The funny thing is, when I was watching that, I was thinking about what happened on TNA last week with Lady Tup and Gail Kim, and I'm like, is the WWE copying them? So things like that, I tend to think about. But overall, I think they're doing a really good job here with the Divas division right now, because you have Tamina and AJ Lee. Something will probably happen at WrestleMania leading up now. And you can put Naomi in the ring as well. You can have the triple threat match. I'd be willing good with that. Or you can have AJ Lee and Tamina. I'd be willing good with that as well, as long as you have this booked right. I think right now, to me, AJ Lee's title run has long over fizzled out, and it's time for a new Divas champion. I've said that many, many times before, and I think Tamina or Naomi, one of them, please, one of them, make them the next Divas champion at WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania is the right time for AJ Lee to lose the title, and like I said, I will be okay with either Naomi or Tamina beating AJ Lee for the championship. Also, we saw Bray Wyatt go one-on-one with Kofi Kingston, and this was, Bray Wyatt's momentum going into WrestleMania to face John Cena. All due respect to Kofi, he's no John Cena. And I thought this was an okay match as well. I like the singing. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. With Bray Wyatt throughout that match. I thought that was pretty interesting. And I like how Kofi Kingston really sold Sister Abigail. It felt like a devastating maneuver. The way he just hit himself on the mat, that was great. And like I said, Bray Wyatt, the little things matter. I like the whole idea of him in the corner and then banging himself backwards. I like those things that stand out, that make someone different and unique. And I think they're doing a really good job with Bray Wyatt in their WWE. And then we get the final segment. Now, before I get to the final segment, I will talk about Mr. T being inducted into the Hall of Fame, the celebrity wing, if you call it. And I think there, how many is there? 5 or 6. They're 6 for 6 or 5 for 5. And to me, this Hall of Fame looks like the greatest Hall of Fame I've seen in years when it comes to the WWE Hall of Fame, and I'm really looking forward to the induction of this. And Mr. T being inducted into the Hall of Fame is great. He was one of the guys that helped build WrestleMania to make it what it is today, and I think that was a great move on the part of WWE, putting him into the Hall of Fame. Now, let's talk about the final segment that happened on the show. And it was the face-to-face with Triple H and Daniel Bryan. What happened was that Triple H, he was doing most of the talking. I don't think Daniel Bryan really talked at all in this segment. I thought that was pretty interesting, to say the least. You know, you would have figured that Daniel Bryan would have said at least a couple of things, even though he was at the end, even though he never really got on the microphone. I like this final segment. It was really, really great, I thought. What happened was that Triple H tells Daniel Bryan to come down to the ring because he has something on his chest. And he went on to say that a lot of things happened at SummerSlam, and he said that it seems like everything that happened then and now seemed to fit. And it was best for business that I pedigreed you in your championship after you faced John Cena for the championship at SummerSlam. And he went on to say it was nothing personal, it was all business. And he went on to say that people like Daniel Bryan and people in the audience would not get what he was doing at the time. He went on to say that that rough decisions should be made, what's best for business. And then he went on to say that Daniel Bryan crossed the line, and he wanted water under the bridge. It was supposed to happen. And basically he said he had no choice to put an end to the Yes Movement. And he tells Bryan, no hard feelings, may the best man win. He goes to shake his hand. Daniel Bryan refuses. And he said that if I were in your shoes, Daniel Bryan, I would have done the exact same thing. And he went on to say that he threw Daniel Bryan roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and everything possible, and he's still standing. And there was also a part in that promo where he said about taking your ball and going home, the straight up parody to CM Punk, and then getting some CM Punk chance in that segment. Great job, Triple H. That's all I have to say. And that was actually happening as well when you had Batista walking out. And he was creating his own parody of CM Punk as well. And so going back to this final segment on the show, you had the Triple H basically saying at the end of it that he has all the respect to Daniel Bryan. And then Stephanie McMahon comes out, and what the hell are you thinking? He's yelling at Triple H about the respect and arguing with Triple H, and he basically, Stephanie McMahon said that I want Daniel Bryan arrested for what happened last week, and all these fake cops come out and they were closing in on Daniel Bryan, and you can see outside the ring that Steph and Triple H were arguing until it was just a complete setup with the Authority handcuffed Daniel Bryan. In comes Triple H and lays the attack on him. And it was going outside the ring. He rips the shirt off of him. And I like how Triple H was holding on to Daniel Bryan and Steph was slapping him. And he was yelling, "You hit like a girl!" And stuff like that. So they were really gaining a lot of great heel heat throughout this entire thing. And the show ended with Triple H pedigreeing Daniel Bryan, and you were like waiting for it. You can see him mouthing yes, 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 and he has Stephanie doing the yes, yes, yes as well. And he got on the microphone again, and he said, "Our ring, our house, there is no yes movement," and his music hits. I thought that segment alone was absolutely great. It was a very strong way to end the show. And there's a lot of crazy heat going on, a lot of boos. The heels go over. So you could probably expect with the second last or the last episode of Raw leading up to WrestleMania that the good guys will go over, but this final segment was pure gold. It was great heel galore. Overall, I thought the show was actually a really good episode. There were a lot more positives on the show than there were negatives, and I would give the show an 8 out of 10 for doing just that. And if you saw this episode of Monday Night Raw, what did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that very subscribe button just down below this video. You can also follow MRB Wrestling on Twitter, and you can like us on Facebook at the Mick Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. For your co-host, I am Mike Mick Rock Wilson signing out, and on a final note to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest, and always do your best.